Good evening. I didn't even check what time it is. It's 5:36. I just wanted to do a quick update on my video. I was having a debate with one of my colleagues, and just to sum it up, because I don't think a lot of people are aware. Okay, because I'm going to show you for a quick example. These are my keys. This is what I use at work to pop, it's a bottle opener for beers. This is a pole. It's metal or steel. All right. So, for example, this is a magnet I used to have at my old job because this would magnetize for the name tag. I don't have the name tag. Um, I don't give a fuck where it's at. I don't know what happened to it. Probably lost it or something. That was my old job, right? So this is a pretty strong magnet. So it'll stick to this or my keys here, right, to the ring. It won't stick to the keys for some reason, but it sticks to the ring. Anything that's really magnetized like this here, okay, it's pretty strong. I bought some magnets from Walmart. I wanted to test something out, but it's a piece of shit. They're not that strong. This one's pretty strong. You see that? You can hear it. So that sticks to that. That's to show you that this is a real magnet. There ain't no fucking tricks to it. So like I was saying, and I don't know, I don't remember if I said some of this in my old video, but just to clarify stuff, that there's shit in our food or like in energy drinks, because I know this because of the fact that I was consuming a lot of energy drinks. Now I'm not consuming them anymore, and this magnet, it'll stick to my head. You see that? And then it falls. Because, of course, if you think about it, if it was stronger, it would go through the skin, the meat, and then right here in the veins. Because for a long time, every time I would go in the sauna and I would lay down and I would be in there for like, let's say 30 minutes. When I get up, I notice like right here in my vein, I have this sick ass vein right here, right? And it goes all the way up and shit. And it would stick out real bad. Like you see how that looks? And I'm wondering, why the fuck is this? Any arteries that stick out that bad, they shouldn't be sticking out like that. Now, people will say, oh, it's your age, it's this and that. I really don't believe it's your fucking age, you know? I think that the shit that we put in our body ages us. So, like, you'll see dudes, like, that are getting real buff and they're working out, but if you look at their legs, they got, like, bulking-ass veins, right? But if you look at a younger generation, people that aren't of that age, like, okay, like let's say for instance somebody is really super buff at the gym, but he's got like a lot of veins sticking out of his legs, or like certain veins will stick up over here but not on this side of the arm, right? Like if you really observe, because I've seen that at the gym. Now if you got a younger kids out of the 40-year-old male that looks like that, the younger generation, they don't look like that. And that's because if you think about it, they haven't like consumed that much bad product, or they probably don't eat that much, versus people that are older, because the longer you've been consuming, the more it's going to bind in your body, right? So like if you think about it, if you get let's say you get like a teenager, right, and he's drinking energy drinks, his body's going to flush that shit out quicker, like way quicker, right? It's not going to be embedded into the body like me or someone else. So whatever I've been trying to flush out for the last, I don't know, however long, because I didn't quit the energy drinks completely for like a whole year or anything like that. So there could be a possibility there's some metal particles that are like, jammed up in the fucking arteries, or jammed up in the skin, or like even in the meat, because you don't know biologically, like on the inside, like you can't sit here and be like, oh, I can totally see myself on the inside, right? Like even if you go to a doctor's, you're just going to get an x-ray that shows your bones. Like that's all it's really going to show. Now, if you listen to your body and your mind, it'll tell you shit, because I was wondering that a few days ago, like, why is my fucking vein seem like it's clogged up here? Now, if I was fresh and I didn't have anything that was like bad in my body, I don't think that this would show. You know what I mean? I don't think certain things would show in my body. Now, this is proof right here that there's shit, you know what I'm saying? There's shit in your body. And if it's falling too quick, it's because it's too thick. Like right here in the skin, it's very thin. So like if there's a vein there, it's gonna pick it up because it's the vein is pumping blood. It's moving those particles through it. So like I was reading that if you go into the sauna and you sweat out and sweat and sweat and sweat, you know, you could sweat out that metal just the same way. Like if you're juicing, right? Like I've been juicing for a while and flushing out. I've been drinking a lot of water, right? Like I did have a soda today. That was it. But I'm not doing the energy drinks no more. It's been maybe about a week. It's hard because it's very fucking addicting. Don't get me wrong. But it's funny in the concept of like, you know that there's metal in you, right? When you come to that truth of that, but then yet you're addicted to drinking it, right? So you're kind of like, I want the taste, you know? But like I said, I stopped it, and now I'm on a mission to flush it out. So I don't know how long that's actually gonna take, but like I said, this magnet was definitely proof. So if you go anywhere, I would suggest maybe because I haven't been there, but if anybody wants to get like a really strong magnet, go to Hobby Lobby. I did go down. I think I went to Walmart and it was down aisle F12. They had some magnets there, but they fucking suck. They're like little party magnets. But some dude told me if you go over to the electronics section, they probably have stronger magnets. Now I didn't have time to go over that way because I was short and limited on my shopping, so I had to leave. But I remember this magnet; it's very strong. Now, you know, if it's already like sticking and shit like that, and you know, it's already showing. I already know that this is all I need. So the proof is already there. But like I was trying to say, I kind of lost track there. Flushing out my system with like the juicing. Maybe the juices that I'm drinking isn't really like flushing it out completely. I was told that grapes do that, but I don't know if you have to eat the grapes in order for that to get rid of the metal or aluminum. Also, too, what I heard, I'm gonna test it out because I bought like 5 little bundles of cilantro. Now, cilantro, it's probably better to drink it or it could be eating it. I haven't studied up on that yet, but I hear a lot of people, like I've seen a lot of that, like they say that cilantro will bind on the metal and somehow it flushes it out. So that type of vegetable or whatever that is, the cilantro will bind against that metal and it'll flush it out of you. I don't know if it does it through the kidney or if it's through the liver. It could just help with pissing it out, maybe shitting it out. I don't know. But I was just letting you guys know that, you know, since everybody's scientifically with all kinds of shit nowadays, that's proof right there. The fucking magnet stuck to my head. Why is it sticking to my head? Now, some people are probably going to doubt it and be like, oh, well, it's because you're sweating or it has some kind of magnitude to your skin and this and that. I don't want to hear any of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand that these products that are out there, even if we're conditioned to drink them or eat certain things or whatever you want to say about it, it's not normal for the body. Now, I understand that whatever I'm telling you, I'm not trying to say you have to eat this or drink that and da 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 da. I'm just letting you. I'm just making sure that you're aware to these things because if you're a caring adult and your kids are drinking it, you know, and you want them to be aware, like, hey, you know what, don't drink it because it's really actually bad for you, then okay, cool, the message got out. You know what I mean? If you don't want to and you don't give a fuck, then go ahead and do what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? I do it at times too with shit that I shouldn't even be doing. You know what I mean? Like I've smoked cigarettes, I've drank, I smoke weed, I've done all kinds of shit in my pastime, but I'm letting people to know to be aware of, you know, like what's really going on. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like everyone's just being lied to about things and they don't want to believe it, and I understand that shit because if you pay attention to the movie of The Matrix, there's a scene in there where Neo was panicking because he showed him the system on the inside of the computer system of the program, where he's like, oh shit, you know, we're inside of a computer program. Now, I only use that method of as an example because a lot of people have seen that fucking movie. It's very famous, but also it has a message in it, and a lot of people know that there's a message in that movie. So it's better to bring it out because if you're aware of the movie, then you would get what I'm saying. So that's why it's better within that example. So now, when Neo was like, "Oh, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it," and he throws up. If you remember that scene, and they're telling him to breathe, and he passes out and then he ends up on a cot where he wakes up and he's talking to Morpheus, right, which is the teacher. So he tells him, "I can't ever go back," right? And he's like, "No." He's all, "But now that you know the truth, would you really want to?" Right? So that's the whole point of letting you know, like in the movie, like it's like a tribulation, I guess, like or recognition of like once you know the truth of shit, right? Some people are scared to come to the truth because like they're more adapted to the way they live. Like, no, no, that's not true, because you're scared to push forward and really find out what's going on, right? So, like I said before, it would be like, let's say you're a baby, you're not going to be aware of a lot of things. Just for an example, if you're a baby, right, and somewhere along the line something happened where you lost your mother, right? Your mother or the baby was taken from the mother somehow, and then some other lady ended up getting it. Let's just say it was just some rich fucking bitch, right? took the baby, and the other lady was like, "Oh, where's my baby?" And you were raised for that 30 something years, and didn't question it, right? And you believed like, "Oh, it's my mom." And then at some point in time in your life, you find out that your real mother was trying to find you when you thought that you were being kidnapped, or however the story goes, and you're wondering, why the fuck was my real mom lying to me, or my supposed real mom, right? Like, there's been stories like that, or there's stories that are like put that way to give you an example, like I'm giving it now, to make you understand, like, you can be conditioned a certain way for 20, 30 years, and then when you come to the truth, you're like, it's fucking mind blowing. You know what I mean? It really fucks with your mind. So in that scene with Neo talking to Morpheus, and he said, "Oh, I can't go back," and he's like, "No, but if you wanted to go back, would you really want to?" Right? Because once you know the truth, why do you want to continue to go back to the lie? You know what I mean? Unless that's what you like. You know what I mean? You like to be lied to. Oh yeah, lie to me. Hit me some more. Like, people are conditioned certain weird fucking ways. But also in that scene, there's a point where Morpheus tells him, "I owe you an apology because it's dangerous to pull somebody out when they're older, because the mind has a hard time letting go, right? Because it's the concept." Now, like I said before, in the Moses story from the Bible, that's pretty much what it talks about. Like, that's why I feel that story is the most important story out of the Bible, is because you know we they know, like, the people that run this fucking shit, the world and whatnot, the Illuminati or whatever you want to call it, whoever the fuck they are, right? They already know how we work. They know how the body is, the mind, the psychological traits. How they say, "Oh, you're sick and you need a shot," and this and that. All that shit is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, all of that is just like an illusion, and you feed into that illusion. Like, there's two concepts to that. Like, you can have an illusion, but then also they can make that illusion real, right? Like, if you believe in one illusion and you come to that illusion willingly, they're like, "Oh, okay," and then they'll give you that shot. They know willingly, if you're doing it, they'll give it to you, and you don't know what's in that shot. And like I said, centuries ago, people didn't live that way. Like, "Oh, I'm sick, I need a shot." It's predictive programming. That's what they talk about. But then also, that word comes up so much, where there's other people out there that are like, "Oh, it's conspiracy theory, and da 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 da." There's none of that shit. Like, you could keep saying that it's conspiracy theory, but it's like, okay, well, you have to really discern the provocations. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but just the fact that you got one side that makes up shit to go against something else that might be real, right? So you have to really discern, like, what's really causing those conflicts, right? Like, because they're getting that to conflict it. And I just showed you something that's evidently real, that's true, was this magnet. It's showing that there's metal in my body, right? Now, if you get a stronger magnet, like a really strong magnet, that's like, like it's hard to pull off, like, because I've had a magnet years ago. I don't have it no more, but I had a really super strong magnet. Now, if I had one of those, I would go around town like, hey, let me see your arm, and it'd stick. You know what I mean? But also, like I said, if you put it to maybe one of your kids or somebody younger, it's probably not going to stick like that because they don't have so much accumulation in their body. You know what I mean? So, like I said, with your mind and everything, you'll have a hard time letting go of shit. And that's what the statement was meaning in the Matrix movie. I know I'm kind of all over the place jumping back and forth, but it's the way I speak and tell you on this information. And when you sit back and really think about it, you're gonna see how it pops in your mind, because it's another truthful way of psychologically getting through all the shit in your head. So, like I said, they all know about your conditioning. So, like, and with that story, I was saying, like, oh shit, like it's mind boggling to your mind to be like, oh, okay, like if you knew that it wasn't your mother that whole time, it's the same way in life, right? Like the way we've been conditioned, like, the commercials that come out, oh, McDonald's or KFC, or the way they commercialize like the Coca-Cola, right? Like, haven't you noticed the commercials? Like, they're so exotic and they show all this shit, and like none of it makes sense in the beginning, and then all of a sudden at the end they're like, and then it's a Coca-Cola. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why did they show all this fucking pretty glorified shit just to promote the Coke at the very end, right? Like, none of that really shows thirst, right? Like, you would at least think someone was jogging in the commercial, and they reach for some good water, right? Like, But no, they do all this fancy bullshit or whatever, and then they have the Coke at the end to like, oh, it's Coke, right? Like, all of that shit looks so stupid, dude. If you really pay attention to these commercials, like, they're so fucking mind fucking you. Like, they're like so like putting you in a trance, like, oh, that looks so good. It's so delicious. I guarantee you, if you go on a fast for like a day, 3 days, just water, you'll notice how your mind will start triggering, like, oh, I need something, or I need this, I need that. Like, even the food is programming. You know what I mean? Like, all those ingredients on the back, like the chemicals that you read, some of the shit that you can't even pronounce, they know that those chemicals, they set off certain components that fire off in your brain. It's the same way, like, for example, because you're probably going to be like, yeah, right, da-da-da-da. Now, think about it, right? Meth has chemicals in it. Everybody does fucking meth in Bullhead, and I know that you know that, right? So when they do that shit, they're getting it in their brain. So there's like, I'm sure a lot of people already know that. There's transmitters that get set off. I'm trying to remember what they're called. I can't remember the word, but little new neurons that light off and fire, and then they got dopamine that gets released and it fires off like crazy, right? Now, those chemicals, some of those chemicals are like the shit that you could find like under your sink. You know what I mean? So they know that the chemicals that they're putting in your food, they have triggers, right? And think about it too as well. With energy drinks, I was told, I even did the research one time, there's about like 3 or 4 different chemicals in there, and some of those chemicals are found in meth. So if you think about it, if you're drinking like energy drinks out of the day, like just whatever, right? You're just drinking it because it tastes good, or supposedly it gives you a little bit of energy, but then you have anxiety like right after, right? Like when you have the crash. But also the next day, you're probably like feeling it, because I was noticing I was feeling it at some point the next day, like my body was calling to it, like it was setting off like receptors or something to where it becomes addictive. Now, if it really isn't addictive, try getting off of it for 5 days. Either you have a really good strong mindset, or you're not able to discern your feelings, how things are getting shot off. Because like even like a while back when I had some chicken, when I had some chicken, I had noticed that I started to get really tired, and I just fucking passed out, right? And then when I woke up, because I eat so clean, I'm able to recognize like when there's something different in my body. So I could feel like there was some kind of chemical there, right? Like I forgot what it's called that they pump in the turkey, but whatever they pump in the turkey nowadays, like when there's like Thanksgiving and shit, it'll put your ass to sleep, right? I don't know if it's like ephedrine or something like that, but if they put like antibiotics in chicken, that shit probably puts your ass to sleep. You know what I mean? Like that shit's not good. You know what I mean? Like if I have a cousin that has a natural farm, right? Like it's I guess he has like, well, not a whole farm, but he has chickens in the back, right? He raises them naturally. He's not pumping them with shit, but I guarantee you, if he killed one and stripped it and cooked it and all that, it's probably as natural as you can eat. Like of anything that's product out there, like at Walmart, Smart and Final, or whatever. You know what I mean? But also, there's a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about how they clone meat, or how they make fake meat. You know what I mean? So you don't know what you're getting at the store. You know what I mean? It might be good. Like I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I had some steak the other day, right? It was some bomb ass fucking steak. But also too, I don't know what's in it. You know what I mean? There could be metal traces in there. There could be chemicals in there. I don't know how they're binding shit nowadays. Like, I mean, research has come so far. You don't even know what you're breathing in the air nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of people that are like, it's only in America. It doesn't seem to be any higher in other states, but out here in the United States, there seems to be more cancer. There seems to be more like dementia. Now, if you think about it, right? I was talking about the binding of the chemicals, right, of the metal that's running through my skull here, right, on the outside layer into my veins. Now, I think if you get enough accumulation, because back here, when the veins run through the spinal cord, where does the spinal fucking cord go, right? It goes in the back of your skull because there's a hole back here, and it goes inside. So the blood pumps on the inside and outside of your skull. So what do you think happens when you're eating chips, right? If you open a bag of chips, there's all that foil in there, right? So you don't know what those chemicals in the chips and the foil are doing when it's like enclosed like that all day, every day being shipped out. Like it's probably binding somehow. And when you're eating it, right, like on the daily for fucking 5 years, 6 years, or however you're eating your food, that shit's eventually going to get into your fucking, through your skull, through your spinal cord, and into your brain. And then think about it. If you got little traces of metal surging through your brain, at some point it's going to get stuck in one of your receptors. And, you know, you freeze up. That's why you have people that are like, and dementia, they can't think, they can't function. It's metal. It's as simple as that. I've studied that a long time ago, and I don't know why I've never made a video on it, but now I'm actually like, I'm just starting to speak out and let people know, like, dementia comes from fucking metal. It comes from foil. It comes from the shit that they spray in the air, right? We all know that they're spraying chemtrails, but then they promote it and be like, oh, it's good for you and this and that. Really, dude? Like, you think that they were spraying that shit like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, in 1970? Like, no, they're doing all this shit now. Like, they're pumping shit in the fucking ground. They're killing the fucking ocean, like everything of the atmosphere. They're just building over shit, killing trees. They're doing all kinds of shit. It's already bad enough that we drive in certain vehicles that pump out smog. Like, it's just a lot of pollution. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit that they've conditioned us to, you know, to adapt to make us weak. Like, we're a fucking weak ass nation, dude. Like, we're really totally weak. Like, back then they didn't have AC, they didn't have fans, they didn't have lights, they had lanterns. You know what I mean? Like, certain stuff like that. I'm not saying that's how we have to live, but we can be stronger in other ways than conditioning ourselves like all the time on the phone. You know, I mean, I get it, and in a way it's good because like I can push this message out. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we're conditioning ourselves to stick with the lie. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, right, how do we break away from all this if we were to go on our own and not have to clock in for the 5 to 9 job, listen to what they tell you to do, doing the work that it makes you miserable as fuck, not finding the type of compassion or hobbies or true stuff that you seek that you really want to do. Because think about it, if you're working Monday through Friday every day at the casino every day, right? Monday through Friday, 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 every fucking day, and then you're only looking forward to that Friday to get out so you could do the same shit on the weekend, right? It's either probably smoking weed, drinking, gambling, fucking around, I don't know, being in a relationship you don't want to be in, you know what I mean? Like just everything in that short amount of time, like it's fucking exhausting. Nobody wants to fucking do it. I mean, I'm hearing about people that are like I just talked to recently at the gym that are like, I'm kind of unemployed right now, but I'll look for a job later. Like they just up and quit. They were like, fuck this fucking shit. I even met somebody from Vegas that was like, I don't want to do it no more. I don't want to fucking work. Fuck it. And he just went out about his business. I seen him not even that long ago, like just last week. He's doing fine. And I'm like, what the fuck, nigga? Like, what? So I don't know. Maybe they're onto something that they're not telling us. You know what I mean? Because if they told us, we probably think, oh yeah, you're crazy, right? And that's the funny thing. When you start coming into the truth more and you start telling it like it is, people will be like, you're crazy. Okay, first off, how really crazy are you? Right? Are you like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so fucking stupid. Like, how fucking really crazy are you? I think in general, people of all sorts, like, all of you all fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I think everybody's fucking crazy. So there's no such thing as literally being like crazy. The only way you would see something like that is like if somebody's like truly possessed, or they got an entity in them, or a demon, or some fucking weird sort of shit like that. That's where that sickness actually comes from. Is from a negative frequency that you lowered yourself on, or you were unknowledgeable about, and something happened to you, and then you just got all fucking whacked out, right? And there's so many evidential proofs of that. Like there's movies of that like tell you low key about that. There's research you can look into and reading about people that have gone through that, or there's testimonies that people will talk about, right? And anyways, from what I was learning, okay, because you got the Old Testament and the New Testament. Now, the Old Testament, from what I was hearing through one of the programs I was listening to, and then reading somewhat or whatever, but the spirit of man that comes from God or Jesus or whatever like that is what gives you like your true power, right? Like true discernment on true things, how you could feel things, how you could listen and understand things. Now, there's more to it. I'm just not really going to say it all. But back at that time, there were sacrifices that were made. And then there was also like certain prayers that they would do. They would do a lot of shit. For a short example, they would do a lot of shit in order to get the spirit that would fall upon man, right? But then after Jesus was manifested in the flesh, and then he died for our sins on the cross, or however you want to say that. I keep doing this, but my bad. It's just my hand gesture. But when he died on the cross for our sins, and he bled, right? He literally bled. So it was God bleeding for us onto the floor. It was a sacrifice. So when that happened, that was able to, for the new generation that was to come for the New Testament, that bestowed the Spirit, because that's what we have now. Like all of us, I don't know how many do have it and who don't, or people that aren't awake to it. I don't really know specifically how it works, but I do know that it's there. And a lot of people have the Spirit of God in them, right? Or the Spirit of Jesus. To me, it's the same. It's the same guy. It's the same dude. It's God, Jesus, God, the same guy. So with that, that's been instilled in us. So now we have the Spirit in man. It's in man. Well, of course, it's in women, but the story how it goes in man. So that's the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament. So now in the New Testament, everybody has it inside. So there is since a lot of people watch Netflix, right? So in Netflix, there's a show called The Chosen, right? The Chosen. And if you guys seen that scene where Jesus puts his hand over the lady she had a fever, right? She had a fever, and he's like, leave her, right? And they bring it into like a very vivid way in the movie where it's like, right? And the sickness left. Now, if you think about it, real sickness doesn't exist. The only way it becomes a sickness is like your body being at disease, right? Because they call it disease, but it's like when your body is at it's like it has a dis-ease, right? You become at a dis-ease, like when usually you'll be more functionable, right? There's a dude named Eric Sanchez that will explain that in one of his YouTube videos. He's a detox specialist, and he breaks that fundamental down of what a disease and a dis-ease comes at, right? Anyways, the fever, I feel that they put that and saying it's a fever, but in reality, I think it's a demon. So even I had a discussion with my mom, and she's like, you know what? I don't think it's actually like a fever. She's like, I think it was him telling the demon to leave her body because it was actually making her sick. So sickness and craziness comes from evil works, evil demons, entities, possession, however you want to look at it. And if you think about it, really observe people, like people that have been drunk or high as fuck, and like something just comes out of them and they change, and you're like, what the fuck, like. And then the next day they're like, oh, what happened? You know, you're like, dude, you were fucking tripping last night. Da 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 da. You were saying this, and then you almost punched fucking Charlene, and you know what I mean? Like, there's so many stories out there. Now, when that happens, it's not them. It's something that's possessing it. And if you read the book, it'll tell you, don't indulge in the flesh. Because basically, like, when you become really intoxicated, you become so weak, which is like down to a lower frequency. And in the flesh, you're opening, because I believe that everybody has an aura, right? You have an aura around you, which is your generated energy field. Now, when you're drinking and shit, you become at a lesser frequency. You're not all vibrated up where you're keyed on, you know, like, because your body's a temple. So now if you're flooding it with all kinds of toxins, you're like, you know, all fucked up. Your energy's going to be down. And if it's down, you got these things that are like, oh, and start feeding off of you, right? Because you have actually really good energy on the inside. Now, once they start invoking in you, they can persuade you in your mind when you're elusive and unaware because you're intoxicated. They start influencing you. You know what I mean? But that's why they say in the Bible, stay steadfast. Steadfast means to fucking be vigilant and sober, you know? And I'm not to say that you have to. There is people that still smoke a little bit of weed, you know, or chief and drink a little bit or whatever, fucking sniffing cocaine, whatever you're into, popping pills. Some people do it on a very functionable level, and they're aware of shit, so they don't let anything kind of come in and out. Now, if you're kind of like not in control of that, right? Like if you're addicted to that, or you just can't help it, you're like, fuck it, you know, or you just like to party that way. You have to be careful, dude. You know what I mean? Like, women or men, whatever you're into, you know, just be careful on how you indulge, because there is shit out there that you're unaware of. You know what I mean? And I know that there's another verse where it says there's power in the tongue. And when they say the tongue, it means like in the tongue, there's life and death to be spoken into it, right? Because when you speak, you can speak real good and love onto someone, like, or like, for example, right? Like, have you ever had somebody flirt with you on the phone and they're like, hey, you know, and you're like, ooh, fuck, yeah, you know, like you get persuaded onto that. Now that's like a lot of life, a lot of love, a lot of compassion, like bringing you in, right? But also too, like if somebody's really like, you're like, whoa, like what the fuck? And then it really fucks with you. That's a lot of the shit that's being spoken out, you know? But I know that there was something else I was going to say to that. But also they said to be careful what you say out in the open, because your vibration, right? Like when you talk, you can feel your voice box here, like, so like that's the energy, and energy has frequency, right? We all have frequency, whether we're not speaking, it's around us. You know, you can't see it, but like I said, when you breathe, it's the same thing, right? So when you have all that energy, and then when you speak out, and you're letting vibrations go out, right? When you speak, right? So they say in this verse, I forget what verse it is, but it says to be careful how you speak out into existence, because it would be like throwing out a pebble in the ocean and it sends out ripples through the water, right? You ever throw something in the water and you see the ripples, right? That's the vibration that goes out. So when you're speaking, it's going out there into the field, right? And like I said, we don't know what these fucking entities or demons look like, right? So when that ripple comes out and it touches them, it'll fucking fly to you, and then all of a sudden it's right there, right? Like if you're at a party, boom, 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 oh yeah, you know, and then you're like, yeah, that girl's fine. I want to fuck her tonight, and that, you know, like people are just talking, saying all kinds of shit. You don't think those things are around. They hear all that shit, and they're like, and then before you know it, there's fucking like I trust me. I've been to a lot of clubs out in Victorville, California, and the club was fucking off and popping, you know, fucking drinking, all kinds of shit. Man, don't get me wrong, I had a fucking bomb ass time being fucked up. But at the end of the night, when everybody's elusive, what happened always without fail? What happened at the end of the night? There was either a fucking gun shooting at that fucking club or a stabbing, or there was always a fucking fight. A bitch trying to fight a guy trying to fight a bitch, a fucking dude trying to fucking fight another dude because he was talking to his bitch, right? All that is influential. Like there's so much shit going on that you don't even know why it's even happening, but a lot of people are like, no, it's just because they were fucked up. Yeah, that's the easiest concept that you can come up with. But normally, like, all those people were really fucking humbly friendly. Like, oh, I got you, bro. I'll buy you a drink. You know, like there's so many people there that don't think like that. You know what I mean? Like some people might be mad dogging, like, you know, because they're gang members and they don't like that other gang. But you know, a lot of shit that happens towards the end of the night, it's like spirits are there. You know what I mean? Like, try it. I guarantee you. Go to the fucking Losers Lounge. I hear about it all the time. Almost every fucking Friday night or Saturday night, there's a fucking fight. Why does there gotta be a fight every fucking night? You know what I mean? Like me, when I drink and go out, I don't fucking get into no fights. Like people like that, they're easily influenced, right? And demons or entities, they watch you. That's the thing. They ain't got nothing fucking better to do, yo. So they watch your patterns. They're consistently always there, waiting for you to slip up, and they know how you get angry. They know your patterns. So, I mean, imagine like observing 50 people in a cubicle, like you're just doing a study on them. Like, no, that blonde over there, she always seems to take likely to that guy, Pat, for some reason, right? But then that guy, she gets really pissed off with that dude, right? Like, and you're studying 50 fucking people. Eventually, you're going to know all their traits and habits, right? And then you're like, okay, let's fuck with them and test it. And you throw a little smoke bomb in there, or you throw a bunch of drinks in the mix, and then you start sending out subliminal imagings out there, or something in sound or whatever, right? And then it starts influencing them, where it's like I said, that girl's like, I don't fucking like you, Patrick. And then he comes over here, and now he's fighting with this dude. You get what I'm saying? So I hope that these concepts and a lot of these stories, or even these foretellings, or a little bit, like I said, with the magnet, some of this fucking proof wakes you up to some kind of idea in your mind. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. It's not for you. Go about your business. Do whatever you're going to do. I'm still going to make and point out shit that I feel that's evidently real, right? I'm just going to be real with you 100 fucking %. Now, if I'm not being real with you, then I'm not being real with myself. You get what I mean? And yeah, there's not a lot of things I do perfectly. None of us are fucking perfect. I don't expect anybody to be perfect, but I would like to let people be aware of things, because this shit, dude, the magnet shit that we're eating or drinking, or it's not right. You know what I mean? Like if I knew that you were an addict, okay, and you're trying to stay clean, why the fuck would I be like, oh, you know, I have, my friend left this meth here. Do you want it or no? Like, I'll throw it away. I just, you know, I didn't know what to do with it. Why am I doing that? Like, I want to see you fall, right? Like, that's not a good friend. Now, if I'm like, you know, like, let's say I like to drink, right? And someone, I go over to their place, or I go to the casino to hang out with them, and they're like, hey, why don't you have a drink with us? Come on, have a drink. And I'm like, no, I'm straight. You know, like, I like water, you know, just give me a fucking soda or something, you know, and they keep like on it and on it and on it. Why are they being that way? You know what I mean? So I feel like people that are like that, like they're just fucking piece of shit. Like, why are you know what I mean? Like, because what if you were to fuck with them in a way that they don't like, right? Like, let's say they had a boyfriend, right? And it's the girl that's trying to persuade you to either smoke or drink or whatever like that. And let's say you wanted to fuck with her, and you're like hanging on to her boyfriend, you know, and touching him and shit, and he's all cool with it, right? Because he thinks it's a joke. But then in her mind, she's like, oh my God, that fool's probably really gay. Like, oh, like, and then it gets her thinking, like, my man's gay? You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to fuck with somebody like that? You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, I'm not trying to fuck with anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that there's some people out there that probably got conversation with me or been in conversation with me, and they're wondering like, oh well, what this or that or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I have my own concepts to what I do or how I'm doing shit or why I'm doing it, and it will all make sense later to you, you know what I'm saying? But I work in a lot of mysterious ways as well, so and I also have a lot of knowledge, so you know, I can understand that, you know, like, let's say, like, for instance, for example, someone that I knew or whatever, right? We'd talk and get along, and I would fill them in with a lot of knowledge, right? But also, if I have that amount of knowledge, it makes them like, whoa, wait a minute, like, and it triggers something because maybe they have some trauma, or maybe they had some friend that fucked them over, or it could be relationship wise, or whatever clicks in their mind, it makes them click, and they get hesitant. It's because they're thinking negatively about me, or they could be thinking negatively about you if you have some intelligence. Now, the reason why they're thinking that way and their concept in there, like, you could see it, it's pretty much like the psychological traits of things or the conditioning of what they went through. So if that's happening, it's because they're starting to think like you can become a threat, right? Because something that is powerful or of knowledge or wisdom can be a threat, right? Like, well, what if this fool decides to be like if I do something wrong, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, fuck you, right? And then I do something that you're just thinking in your mind, like, what if he does this? What if he does that? Or what if she does this? Or what if she does that, right? But evidently, like, if somebody has like a reputation, you know, like, some people have good reputation or whatever you want to, however you say that word. Some people have bad, right? But even some people have really good reputation, but they pay for that, right? So they're not really about that. They could just be really smooth at that, at doing that, you know what I mean? But behind closed doors, they're really fucking wicked, you know? But um that's why it says too, also in the book, you'll know them by their fruits, right? Like, there's some dudes that, like, for instance, I seen a post about Snoop Dogg where he was, I don't know, he was smiling and whatever, but and on his chain that he was wearing, it had a goat. So he worships the devil, right? And a lot of people that befriend these people or like idolize these people, no, that's because he likes goats, right? Like, they make up some stupid fucking bullshit, dude. It's like, no, that's not what it is. He's wearing it because it's a symbol of worship to the fucking devil. You know what I mean? There's a lot of proof out there, and then the ones that want to knock the message or say something towards the message, it's because they know and they don't like it, and then they want to talk shit about it and disprove it. Anything that's really real, you want to disprove it, right? So, like, if you're a real hustler and you're a go-getter, right, and you're a hard worker and you're an honest worker and you're a real good hustler, and then you got haters all of a sudden, that's because you're being real. You know what I mean? You're being so fucking real about your shit that they don't know how to be like that, and then they fucking come at you with that shit. I know a lot of people from back home out in Cali, Victorville, that are really real about their shit, and they get a lot of haters. You know what I mean? And it's like, stop hating. Like, find out your own shit. You know what I mean? Like, you're always gonna be forever hating if you're always focused on that person. Don't fucking focus on them. Focus on your own shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you have something internally wrong with you, because you're looking to push it out on somebody else. It's always internal. It's not because this person did this. Now, I can understand if, like, you're at a bar and you're minding your own business, and and some bitch, like let's say you're a woman, you're drinking, having a good time, and some guy's flirting with you, you're like, oh, thank you for the beer, and some bitch comes over hating on you, she starts punching you in your face. Yeah, I could see why you would be like, fuck that bitch, right? But for no reason, like if you're on Facebook and you're like, you're just hating on somebody, stop with the Facebook, delete it, get it off. I guarantee you, try this for at least 1 month. Delete your fucking Facebook. Like, not the whole thing for like permanent, but like remove the app off your phone. You can always re-download it. Remove it off your phone and see how you do for a month. I guarantee you, I guarantee you, like a good 500 of you won't be able to fucking do that shit. I've done it. I took it off for like fucking a couple years actually. I put it up there now because I talk to people on there. I send them messages and shit like that, like videos, to keep in contact with, like with my mom on there, my cousin. Like I send them important shit. Yeah, I could do it through the messenger, but sometimes it's easier to do it through the Facebook because they're more in tuned on there, so it'll come up quicker versus their messages. You see what I'm saying? Because nowadays people don't like to talk on the phone anymore. They like to text, like, "Oh, where you at? What are you doing? Are you still at work?" Because nowadays that texting has become so like distrusting, and then even when they have like I've seen a lot of relationships, right, where they're like, "Oh, well, my man knows where I'm at all times," because they have that intercept lock, I guess, which is on your messenger from Facebook, and they keep track of each other. That's so stupid. I mean, I get it. Like, you could track your girlfriend like that, but that bitch can be just be at home, right? Like, bye, babe, and you're at work, and she's at home. But when you're at home, the fucking dude's creeping over from the next apartment, and he's fucking your bitch at home, and you think she's safe at home, and she's easily texting you back after a half hour. Like, there's so much scandalous shit that goes on that you don't even know about, right? And then also too, it's like she could be leaving the phone at home, right, and knows how long you're gonna be at work and knows your habits between when you normally are on break, right? Like, okay, he goes to work and this and that. Women are fucking smart. Some men are pretty fucking smart too, but they slip up more than women. But women could be doing that. They'd be leaving their phone right here in plain sight. You think she's at home, like, oh, okay, I got her on track. She's going right across over here at the next apartment and fucking this guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much shady shit. You know what I mean? That's why I feel personally breaking away from all bondages, phones, computers, TV, all that shit will instill your spirit so much more stronger to where, like, boo, you'll get a signal like, you know what, I when I think about it, when she was saying that shit, I think she was lying about that. Let me go check on her, right? And you leave your phone and you are unable to be tracked. You catch that person on guard and you're like, well, what the fuck is this, right? Like, listen to your body. Learn to listen to your body more and your mind, and it'll tell you shit. Like, for instance, before I cut out this video, I'll give you a quick example. I have this friend that I wasn't talking to for a while, and that particular person was thinking of me, right? And this has been going on, I think, for like since Friday, maybe Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, somewhere in between there. And I kept getting the figment of that person popping in my mind, right? But I knew it wasn't me thinking about it, and I try to discern, was I thinking about that? Why is that coming up? Then a little later, I text that person like, hey, how you been? Just wanted to check on you. Because at some point I got worried, like maybe it's just my sense, telling me like, hey, check on that person. They might need help. That's my conclusion, right? So I did that. And then they were asleep apparently, or whatever, I don't know. But the next day, hey, how you doing? Da, 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 da. And then we talked, and then they ended up telling me that, hey, were you thinking about me these days? And I was like, well, I was aware of, thinking about whatever. And like, that's crazy because that person, before they went to bed, they were calling on my name in their mind and was like emanating the energy out like, hey, if you can hear me, get in contact with me. And then they went to sleep. So yeah, that might have been one saying, but I was hearing it a lot more than what they told me. You know what I mean? So that's something, really, really amazing. You know what I mean? So like, if we can do shit like that, and it's proven, like, I'm just telling you, but to you, you're like, well, prove it, right? Fuck you. Like, I don't have to prove that shit. I'm telling you, test it out for yourself. So for me, when that was happening, it makes me wonder, what else are we fucking capable of? You know what I mean? Like, and then all these towers, like everything electronically, like all that shit, you don't think it gives off like vibrations, like microwaves? We already know microwaves are bad, right? These transformers out here that hold all these fucking heavy ass wires and all this metal, and it's letting off all this electronic shit. That could be actually like really preventing us to invoking something like really good, like something powerful in us, like something that, maybe like transporting or disappearing or walking through a wall, maybe, I don't know, telekinesis, reading someone's mind, moving shit with our mind. I don't know. I have no idea. But until that day comes where, like, because I'm told that there's supposed to be a power grid that goes out, right? Some people have been experiencing things in certain states. There was a fire recently in California. Like, all these little fucking weird phenomenons are going on, right? But you never know. Once lights out, that might be waking us up more to the truth. So, so that's some of the things that I just experienced in a couple days. And this video is almost reaching an hour long. So, if you really think about it, like, that's a lot of information in just a day or two. You know what I mean? Imagine like fucking 10 years from now what I'm gonna know. You know what I mean? Or any of us are gonna know. Maybe some people know about this, what I'm peeping out, but to the people that aren't awake to it, I'm letting you know right now. You know what I mean? And if you're too much, like, if you're not open-minded to it, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but people that are open-minded to it, and they want to reach for the truth, you can message me on the commentary there, and maybe we can search in the truth together, or we can unite or make a meeting or something. There has to be a reason for everything. There's a reason for everything and why things happen. I believe that in my journey right now, it's leading me somewhere. And I'm not gonna be with the new age shit, like, oh well, listen to the universe and this and that. It's always something stupid that has no concept to what, like the universe is in charge of everything. It's fucking God, dude. Like, I'm sorry to say the F word, but it's God. That's where it really lies to. The Father that runs everything, that made the laws, that created you, that created this whole planet, that made anything and everything infinitely, life in general. You can't sit here and be like, oh, it's the universe and angel numbers and I'll follow your, whatever. That's all the new age crap. That has nothing to do with what it really actually is. Like, I'm already went down that whole rabbit hole where I'm already right into the truth of things. And like I said, I'm not gonna always be perfect. There's gonna be times where you'll hear me talk shit, or I'll be angry with somebody, or I'll cuss you out maybe if you piss me off enough, or maybe there'll be some things that I'm doing that's not right. But at least I'm being open about these actual circumstances. These particular things that I'm telling you about is the truth, and that's a whole different can of worms I'm opening up for you. And if you can heed to the message, it'd be greatly appreciated to yourself. So anyways, you guys have a good one. And I bought this movie today. All right, They Live or Live. Right here it says Obey. John Carpenter. I heard about this when the Great Awakening was happening, right? Like when the COVID shit hit. And this is supposed to be like foretelling secrets to like society on what they're doing. They influence our decisions. They influence our decisions without us knowing it. They numb our senses without us feeling it. They control our lives without us realizing it. They live. So this is pretty much what it explains what's going on in the world today. And I'm gonna watch it. I don't know what year it was. I'm sure it's a fucking old movie. It says 2003, but I don't think it was in 2003. Maybe. It could be older than that, but 2003 could just be like when it was remade, because this probably came out in VHS And I don't think none of you know what that is. Like 8-tracks and shit. I've seen an 8-track one time. I'm not saying that I was around at that time, but maybe I was about to be born till then. But if not, I was still being produced through the semen. Anyways, you guys have a good one, and I hope that message reaches you guys from this fucking one magnet here that brought out all that shit. It's the little things that matter. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.